Today we're covering what are love languages and why they're important. First, the 5 love languages are acts of service, physical touch, gifts, words of affirmation, and quality time. But why are they important? Well, if 2 people have different love languages, which most of us do, then we're going to have a lot of conflict and disappointment if we don't learn how to navigate the differences between our love languages. And almost all of us give the love language we want to receive. And so if both people are doing that, then no one's going to be happy. Well, if I believe that it means to be loving, to get gifts, like, I feel so loved when I get gifts, I'm probably going to give you gifts. But if you could care less about gifts, now you're like, I got all this crap in my house that I don't care about, and I don't know why you're doing that, and I don't feel like you care about me. So the idea is we're trying to attune and understand how we are wired differently in our relationship. Just because I interpret love as getting gifts doesn't mean that you do. And if you experience it as physical touch, but all I do is give you gifts, we're going to feel constantly disconnected and like we're missing each other. But wait, there's more. Because even though some of these love languages might seem simple, there's a little more than meets the eye. Let's go down the list. Gifts. Okay, so we've established the person feels loved by receiving gifts. Simple enough. But do they like a specific type of gift? Do they like it to be a surprise? As with this and all the other love languages, it's good to have a conversation with your partner about these things so that you're on the same page. The worst thing you can do is make assumptions, and then you're spending a lot of time or resources, and the person doesn't even register it as love, and so you're both frustrated. I spent all this time and money, you don't even feel loved by me, you're saying you don't care about, I don't care about you, and yet, I'm like, but I've been doing all these things. So this is why we need to be very direct and apparent with what means something to us. I know there's a lot of old school thoughts and well, you should just know, and you should read my mind. Not good, doesn't help relationships. You should communicate to the person what makes you feel loved so they can have a chance to do it well and express that to you. Moving on to acts of service. A classic pitfall, again, is we don't have a conversation about it. So I'm unloading the dishes, I'm cleaning the counters, but what you felt loved the most by is when I cook a meal, or I vacuumed all the rooms, or some other task. The idea is maybe certain tasks are more draining to you, and therefore it means even more when I serve you in those ways. Words of affirmation. Pretty self-explanatory, compliments, encouragements, saying nice things about the other person, but it's good to emphasize here, there's a caveat. If you are someone who is either actually critical or like me, just thinks outside the box and I see what could be improved, not trying to be critical, but it can come across that way, that sucks the life out of someone whose love language is words of affirmation. It's the opposite of what they're hoping to hear, and so it's very draining. And just like me and actually my wife, we both struggle with that, even if we're not intending to be critical. If the other person feels that it is critical because their love language is words of affirmation, it doesn't really matter that I'm not intending to be critical. It's still coming across that way. So we need to talk about how do I say the message I'm trying to convey, and how do you then hear it not as critical and work together to find the compromise. It doesn't mean you can never say something or ask something, but maybe there's fine tuning that can help the other person not feel like they're being criticized. Quality time. Okay, again, seems simple, not so much. One, I can't tell you how many couples are well, we do quality time. We watch movies or TV all the time. That isn't quality time. Quality time is 2 people making eye contact without distractions, generally having conversation and interacting with each other. I mean, yeah, sure, you could do that on a hike, you could do that on a date. There's a lot of flexibility with that. But the idea is screens are not involved, and there's some kind of emotional connection and even delight in one another. You're enjoying one another and expressing that. That really helps quality time feel like really valuable quality time. Again, classic example I see in the therapy room is someone's I don't get enough quality time, and the other person's we spend all the time together, and they're frustrated. But the problem is they're both missing is the time they're spending together isn't actually quality. And so, if that person's an introvert, they're like, I don't know how to do any more. But it's not about doing more, it's about doing it differently. How do we maybe spend a little less time together, but actually make it really meaningful, valuable time? And then check in. Hey, how was that for you? Did you feel more connected, more loved? Rate it on a scale. Don't do this every time. But at the beginning, maybe they're like, yeah, that was awesome. That was an 8 out of 10. That was 10 out of 10. I love that. So you can learn and repeat the process. Physical touch. Man, almost everyone that we talk about love languages, they get it right and recognize that physical touch actually isn't sexual touch. We're talking about just physical, like your hand on their shoulder, a back rub, playing with your hair, like a massage, something that just feels good and is touch related. Ergo, again, if you don't have the conversation, you might just be like, I'm putting my hand on his shoulder. Why isn't he happy? And your husband, your boyfriend's expecting, hey, play with my hair. But one, it's his responsibility to tell you that. But then you can also ask for it too. What kind of physical touch means the most to you? So I can give that to you as well. Caveat. I know this one is so hard because we all just want to receive, and it doesn't feel good to give and feel like there's a deficit. But the reality is, if we are transactional and are like, well, I've done this love language with you, why aren't you doing it with me? Then we're operating in a transactional kind of way, and there could be breakdown. Now, there are productive ways to ask, like, hey, you're probably not intending this. Like, I feel like I've been doing more of your physical touch. Like, is there something in the way of, like, my physical touch? Do you understand what I'm hoping for? Like, having don't accuse, don't attack, don't blame. It's okay to say, hey, man, I'm hoping to see more of this, but don't go on the offense. Again, I know it's hard to be able to serve instead of just expect, but the system kind of breaks down when it's just a tit for tat. As usual, these are really helpful tools. These can transform your relationship. And often there are hiccups or even log jams in the relationship, and you've got to bring a couples counselor in the middle to see, like, how are we missing it? So don't hesitate. Don't wait to reach out to a couples therapist. I can't tell you how many times people wait, and they wait so long, and they make the work harder for themselves because they waited to ask for help. There's no shame. We all need help. We all have blind spots. I love how practical psychology can be in teaching people these things. I'm more used to doing it in the therapy context. So if something I'm saying isn't clear, if I need to elaborate more, please let me know in the comments. I want to be able to articulate and communicate as best as I can and help people. Thank you so much for watching. If this helped, please subscribe, like, it helps a lot. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.